Hello, this is Sasha Allenby, and I want to extend a warm welcome to everybody who's joined me from all the different parts of the world. I'm really excited to be sharing this information with you, particularly at this time of year. I know a lot of people set New Year's resolutions with this time of year. I've spoke to so many people who say that their New Year's resolution is to write a book, and hopefully the information that I share with you tonight is going to help you to either get well on the way if you haven't started yet, or to help you to get your momentum going to complete your project in 2014. So before we even get started, before we even go into my background, I want to do a little thing with you here. And if you read the email that went out just before this webinar, an hour before this webinar, I invited you to start thinking about what your vision is for your book. What is it that you really want for your book this year? What is it that's calling you? So before we even start, whether or not you're a meditator or a visualizer or any of those things, I want to invite you to join me, closing your eyes, and you're actually connected to a phenomenal group of people from all over the world here. We've all got the same thing, we all want the same thing, and we've all got the same mission. And so if you close your eyes and just center your attention inwards, take your attention gently alert with your attention wide open inside. And as you do, I'd like to invite you to picture the book that you write in, or picture the book that you're wanting to write. And to actually visualize holding it in your hand with your name on the cover and the title and the cover image, if you've got any idea what that looks like or any idea what that's going to be. And as you tune into it, as you start to visualize it, as you make it bigger and brighter, what emotions does it evoke inside of you? And it may be a mixture of emotions. It may be anything from total excitement to complete terror. I speak to people who go through the whole range of emotions when they're writing the book. So whatever it is, just be with it there now. Let it be present within you. If it's a high vibe emotion, if it's something like excitement or joy or fun or a pleasurable emotion, turn it up. Just really get in tune with it. Remember, this is the purpose of why you want to write a book, because you want to see it finished. You've probably got a whole bunch of people that you know whose lives will be really impacted by it. And you want to get it out there in 2014. If it's anything like fear or terror, if it's stirring up any of those kind of emotions, what happens if you make a space inside of yourself for those emotions to be present? But still stay connected to that dream, that really passionate dream that you've got. And I've heard from a lot of you guys on the run up to this webinar, and it is a really passionate dream for many of you. Some of you have said that you've been kind of wanting to do this for such a long time. And for some of you, it might be a faint whisper. For others, a really loud shout. And so wherever you are on that journey, I want to invite you to just really tune in to the passion and the excitement that you've got for this project, and use that as the fuel for receiving the information that I'm going to share with you in the webinar tonight. So if you want to spend the rest of the webinar with your eyes closed, perfect. If you want to open your eyes and join me back in the room and look at the screen again, then perfect too. I just want to spend a couple of moments giving you a little bit of my background so that I can explain where this information's come from that I'm sharing with you tonight, and why I'm so passionate about sharing it with you. And I do want to just point out that I will take questions at the end. I'm going to keep the flow going throughout, but I will take questions at the end. There may be a space or two for comments throughout, but there will be plenty of space at the end if you've got something burning that you want to ask me. You can type them in as you go along, and I will address them later, or you can type them in right at the end. So my first book that I wrote was a relatively small independent label self-help book on overcoming a condition called chronic fatigue syndrome. It was written out of my life experience of overcoming chronic fatigue myself, and it was published on a small independent label. In doing that, I made a number of mistakes, and a number of common mistakes that authors fall into. And I was really glad I made them actually with that first book, because when we came to write the second book, Matrix Reimprinting Using EFT, which I co-authored with Carl Dawson, the creator of Matrix Reimprinting, I'd kind of got a lot of those mistakes out of the way. And we were very lucky to get a publishing contract with Hay House. And that book's a book that's been published in 9 languages and continues to have languages added to it by the year as well. So I kind of experienced the whole range of the publishing industry in those 2 experiences of writing books, right from a small independent label all the way through to publishing with what are considered the main publishers in the self-help and personal development industry. And so as a result of that, people started asking me a lot of the questions. They started sending me their books. They started asking me about the work that they were doing. They started asking me about getting a publishing deal. And I started to kind of see a lot of similar mistakes and similar challenges that people were experiencing over and over again. Very common ones that you may find in yourself, and you may recognize a number of those in yourself tonight as we go through. There's also another side to my background that came in really useful here. And that's my background as an English teacher, and also having quite a lot of experience in marketing. And so these 2 things, along with the experiences of getting my own books published, made me create a specialism of being a book coach. And I've been coaching people to help them do anything from start the books right the way through to getting their publishing deals and getting their publishing contracts. So as a result of this, I've written a book which is out any day now. And at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share how you can get a free copy of this book. It will be going on sale this month, but I'm going to share with you how you can get a free copy. And the book is called Write Your Self-Help Book in 12 Weeks, The Definitive Guide for Spiritual Entrepreneurs. And what I've done in that book is I've taken you through from absolute scratch right the way through to finished product. And you can create that book in as little as 12 weeks. There's no pressure to finish it in that time. But I do believe that it's possible, and have shown time and time again with my clients that it's possible to meet that deadline when you've got everything lined up and when you've got everything in a row. But the first thing we have to do before we line you up to write your book in anywhere between 12 weeks and 18 months, depending what your preference is and the time that you've got to commit to it, the first thing that we have to do is make sure you've got a number of different things in a row that a lot of people don't kind of consider before they start writing. So that's what I'm going to do with you tonight. I'm going to share with you some of the common mistakes I've seen and how to prepare to get your book ready so that you can write it in 12 weeks. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to share with you how you can work with me further if you wish to work with me further. And I'm going to also share with you, as I said, how you can get hold of a free copy of my book. So the 3 key areas, I surveyed 100 of you, and the 3 key areas from the survey that came up were procrastination, structure, and momentum. And I'm going to address those 3 key areas in this webinar tonight so that you can move through your procrastination, create the structure for your book, and create the momentum that's going to keep you in that flow of writing. So let's start with the 3 most common mistakes, and just right away, if you recognize yourself in any of these, then they're ones that people make over and over again. And the whole point of this webinar is to help you to get solution focused so you move beyond those particular mistakes. Now, the biggest mistake that people make when they write a self-help book is they write it in a kind of an autobiographical style. They write it as their life story. Now, this is one of the biggest things that people do, and it's also the least marketable kind of book. So if you've been writing your life story as a book, then I'm going to talk to you in a moment. I'm going to go through these and break these down in a moment and talk about how you can change the direction of your book if that's something that you've been doing, if you've been using your life story as the central theme of the book. The second big mistake that people make, particularly in self-help books, is they write a concept book rather than a how-to self-help book. So a concept book is a bunch of ideas that you've got about how to live your life, or how someone should or could live their lives, whereas a how-to self-help book is an instruction book for overcoming specific challenges. And how-to books often have a number of different tools, techniques, or steps. So how-to self-help books are much more marketable than concept books, And in a moment, I'll explain why and talk about, if you have been writing a concept book, how to make that book more marketable, how to make it more of a self-help book. And the third most common mistake that people make is that they make the book for everyone rather than a specific audience. And the thinking behind that is that you want to make it a complete mass market book that's available to everybody. But the thing about doing that is it makes it very challenging to market. And what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is how, if you make your book more niche, it's much more easy to market. So if you've been making any of those three mistakes, if you've been making a concept book, if you've been aiming at everybody, or if you've been writing your life story, the first thing that I'm going to do is talk you through so that you can change the direction of your book and enable it to go in a different direction that's going to make it more marketable for an audience. So, addressing common mistake number one. The thing is, your story may be the inspiration for a self-help book, but you need to make the book about the audience itself. The whole thing about writing a transformation and self-help book is it needs to address a specific or particular need, or a number of specific or particular needs for a specific audience. And so that whole idea where you just kind of tell your life story and people relate to it and hook into it, that's kind of gone out of fashion. There is a particular brand of books that really kind of do this very well. They come under the brand of tragic life stories, but they're actually polar opposite to self-help and transformation books. So you want to take yourself out of that kind of whole thing of telling your life story. If you've been through something phenomenal, if you've transformed a condition or an illness, or if you've overcome a big life challenge or an addiction, the key is to help people understand how you did that rather than tell them the story of how you did that. And it's a very, very big difference that's going to affect the tone and the style of your writing. So all the time, you need to be thinking in terms of what's in it for your audience, what's in it for them, what do they get out of the book, rather than you telling the tale. Now, one of the reasons that we get into telling the tale like this is sometimes we're writing for cathartic reasons. If you have been writing in this way, if you have been writing your own story, really tune in with yourself and see if it's been for a cathartic reason, that you felt your story that needed to be heard, or you felt that you needed to be heard, and you use the book as a vehicle for that. So be really, really clear what you were getting out of writing it as a life story, if that's what you were doing. And then start to look at ways that you can switch it so that it becomes a book about how to overcome the challenges you've experienced, rather than taking people through the challenges you've experienced. Now, one of the key reasons is your self-help book needs to inspire things like faith, hope, optimism, all those kind of what are considered the higher vibration emotions. And often when you get into telling your story, it's often the other way around. You maybe go back into unresolved emotional stuff or big emotional challenges. And what that actually does, the reader might be able to relate to that, but it doesn't give them a bridge for which to overcome the challenges they're experiencing. So you really want to think in terms of how you can help your readership elevate and overcome those challenges. The second biggest common mistake that people make, as I said, is they're largely a concept book and not a how-to self-help book. Now, concept books were really, really popular when the self-help book industry kind of started and when the whole self-help boom started. And concept books are kind of like a bunch of ideas that you might have about how to live life. And the whole thing about concept books, the reason that they were popular is sometimes, say you had kind of an enlightened teacher or a spiritual master, and they were able to share some of their views and perceptions about life. Sometimes while you were reading that book or reading about those concepts, you could really kind of tune into those concepts, tune into those perceptions, and it could create an inner shift. The problem being that often when you put the book down again, then you kind of forget or don't integrate that into your life. So self-help books with a kind of a how-to flavor became much more popular, because not only are you hearing about these concepts, but you're being given very specific steps about how to apply those concepts to your own experience of life, to your own reality. So if you've been writing a concept book so far, the concepts that you've been writing about are still very valuable, but I would advise you to interlace them with ways that your readership can apply those concepts to their everyday reality. And that's going to be much more valuable and much more marketable. Publishers are looking for books that give their audience results, and concept books don't tend to give audiences results. I mean, obviously, there are some big exceptions to this rule. If you think about a book such as The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, one of the best self-help books selling of our time, then you'll know that those concept books can be really highly marketable, but it has to be something absolutely extraordinary. Otherwise, I would be advising you, if I was coaching you, to really bring that kind of how-to element to your book, to really make it so that you're giving people tools, techniques, and steps in order to create transformation in their lives. The third most common mistake: who is your book for? Now, so many people say everybody. So many people, when I ask them who their book's for, when I start coaching them, and they say something, the cliched answer I hear is everybody from 18 to 80. But narrowing down your audience so you're writing for one specific person is actually the secret to writing a really successful book. In marketing, they call it your avatar. And if I was coaching you now, I would be really helping you to get specific on who your avatar is for the book. Literally narrow it down to maybe one person, perhaps one client that you like working with, or one person that you've connected or shared your information or your message with, and literally write it to that one person. Now, the reason that you do that is if you start trying to write a book for everybody, then the tone goes all over the place, the whole kind of message gets skewed, and it's really hard to keep it clear. If you get this defined from the offset, it's going to make writing your book really, really much more simple. And every time you go off track, every time you go off the boil, the reason will probably be is that you've forgotten that you're writing for one specific person. You're writing to help them. You're writing because you've got specific needs that they know, you know that they've got, and you're helping them to overcome those needs. And that's the whole point of your book. And I just want you to take a moment now. I want to invite you to take a moment here and just tune in. Close your eyes again like we did at the start of the session. And tune in to the one person that you feel that you would write your book for. Get really specific about who that person is. How old are they? What are their specific needs? And how is this book going to meet their specific needs? Your publisher will also ask you what the promise of the book is. If you go to a publisher, they'll ask you what the promise of the book is. So what are you promising this one specific person? And it needs to be a realistic promise. So if I made a promise that every single person that bought my book would write a #1 bestseller, it would be an unrealistic promise. If I made the promise that everybody that bought my book would write a more effective and more structured and more coherent book than they would likely to write if they just wrote the book on their own, that would be a more realistic promise. What's the promise of the intended book that you're writing? If you don't know the answer to this, and it's something that kind of unfolds over the next couple of days, that's absolutely perfect too. Just take your time with it. And still with your eyes closed, I want you to feel the difference between just kind of blindly writing and not knowing who you're writing for, and now writing a book for a specific audience, for a specific person with a specific need. Even without writing another sentence or another paragraph, you probably get the sense or the feeling, if you haven't been doing this already, of how this guides and shapes your writing. And it's at the absolute core of everything you do, from getting the tone right, to how you market the book later on, to how you present the book to the publisher. This bit right here is the piece that once you've got it defined, it will make the whole process so much easier. So this might be something that folds over the next couple of days. You might start asking yourself these questions and really tuning into it. Maybe even re-listen to the recording and really get clear on who you're writing the book for. So with those three things in mind, I also want to talk to you tonight about the survey results. I surveyed 100 of you. And the reason I surveyed you is because I've worked with a number of different clients who were having the same challenges over and over again. And I wanted to see if there were the same challenges being echoed throughout the whole of everybody that was writing a self-help and transformation book. And so if you see yourself in some of these kind of things that I put across on the survey, then hopefully it's going to help you. I know last time we ran this webinar just before Christmas, a lot of people said it really helped them to see that they weren't alone in this process. A lot of people have the illusion that everybody else is just sitting down and effortlessly writing their book, whilst you're kind of like there on your own, kind of struggling with it and having all these different challenges come up. So sometimes it helps to know that these challenges come up for a number of people, but also I'm going to offer you a number of different strategies for these challenges so that you can start to effectively and creatively move through them. So almost 80% of you, 77% of you said, I procrastinate and find it difficult to get started with my writing. So if you're somebody that's been procrastinating, hopefully already that first step that we've just highlighted of getting everything in order before you start is going to help you a long way to really kind of starting on your journey. So I like to say that you need to get all your ducks in a row before you start writing. Actually, in the new book, I talk about writing your book in 12 weeks, but the first several weeks, even the first 6 weeks of that, can be preparation. And the more preparation you do, the more when you actually sit down to write, that you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel that everything's in order, and the process is going to unfold much more kind of effortlessly and flow more. Obviously, there's still going to be your bumps and your challenges, but getting all those ducks in a row first before you start writing is crucial. And that's particularly, I'm talking about the suggestions that I made a little bit earlier when I was talking about working out who your audience is, and a number of different things like structuring, which I'm going to talk about more a little bit later on in the webinar. So we already said, who's the book for? What are their needs? How will you help them overcome their challenges with this book? And what is the promise of the book? Get those 4 things in a row before you start, and it's going to completely change your relationship with how you're writing and what you're writing. Absolutely key. The next thing that people find challenging is structure. And 60% of you said, I find it difficult to create structure to my work when I start. Now, what I suggest with structure is that you literally structure the whole book before you even start. And that might sound like a tall order, but there's actually an exercise that you can do that makes this much more simple than it may sound. And that exercise is to make a mind map of your book before you even start writing. Now, I advise this to be on a huge piece of paper, unless you're somebody that really relates to mind mapping software and prefers to work that way. So literally on that mind map, write out all the different concepts from your book, all the different ideas from your book, all the different techniques that you're going to use. Thinking about your avatar, thinking about your audience, write out all their different needs and how the book is going to meet those needs. So you start to make this big map of the book. And literally, you're going to spend a couple of days or more just going back to this map, adjusting it, working on it, looking at the different aspects of it. Each of those headings that you make is likely to become a chapter, and under those headings or across from those headings, you can start to write subheadings, which will then be your subheadings within the book. So you literally map the whole thing out on a piece of paper first and spend a lot of time doing that. Really, I can't overemphasize the difference between doing that and just sitting down and starting writing. I would say the one main reason that people fail when they write their books, and the one main reason that they come to me for coaching, or the biggest reason they come, is because the pattern goes something like this. They sit down, they start to try and write. When they do write, it's either a jumbled mess or it's incoherent, or they can't picture how what they've written is going to fit together in a whole book. And this simple structuring exercise is going to help you get well on your way to getting that kind of flow to writing and to help you to get clearer. So once you've actually got it all on the mind map, you've got all your different subheadings, you've got any tools or techniques that you're going to use, any steps, any processes, anything else that you can think of that's relevant to your audience. Maybe if you're using scientific research or quotes or anything like that, you've got them all kind of mapped on this piece of paper. Then get it so it's in an order. See what kind of order it's going to unfold in, and start to number your chapter headings. It's likely that it may shift and change as you start writing, but what I advise you to do is to build it into a book before you even start. Set your pages on the page the size that an actual book would be on Word. So actually alter the pages and work through, put your table of contents at the start, work through and put all your chapter headings through the book with a page break on each one, and work your way through with all the subheadings that you created in your mind map, and then put those all under each different heading. And literally don't start writing until you've got the whole thing mapped out. Now, you will add to it, it will change and shift. You may change shape, or you may change chapter order. But the key is, if you've got that as your starting point, it creates a kind of ease and a security, and it becomes a lot less overwhelming than if you think you've just got to sit down and start at chapter 1 and then write till you've got to the end of chapter 12. So really build it into a book before you start. Even build the back cover. So you can even go on to a resource called Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and get them to do you a mock-up of a cover for as little as $5. And you can literally take that cover and get the back cover information written first. So you're literally looking like you're building and creating a book. It's literally taking shape before your eyes. Building it into a book before you start. Now, one thing that I want to say about that as well, in fact, I think I'll save that actually to when we come to the little bit about momentum. So hold that thought, and we'll save it to when we come to momentum. So the next thing, the biggest thing, can you believe, like 85, almost 90% of you said, I lose momentum when I'm writing and sometimes go whole weeks or longer without working on my book idea. It's a really, really common challenge to go hot and cold with your book. Now, the biggest tip that I can give you on this is to literally build a relationship with the book that you write in. And a lot of people decide that they're going to take just like 1 day a week to write. And what happens if you only take 1 day a week to write is that when you get to that day, then it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of resources to be able to get back into the writing project. And you might spend half of that day actually getting back into the project. Now, if you're somebody that's dropped 1 day a week from your working schedule, or clients for 1 day a week to write the book, it can be very disheartening if when you get to that day, half of the day you feel like you're spinning your wheels. So there is a number of different things that I suggest that you do in relation to that. By all means, have a day in the week where you spend more time writing than others. But the thing that I suggest to you more than anything else is literally to write every single day. And it doesn't have to be reams, it can just be a chapter heading, or it can just be one of the concepts, or it can be just something under one of the subheadings. But if you write in every single day, it's going to keep you connected and in a relationship with your book. And the way that I like to describe it is, imagine if you have a lover that you only see 1 day a week. And you may have had a lover like this, you may have one now, you may have had a lover like this in the past, where you're literally only connecting with them 1 day a week. You don't speak to them between then, you don't connect with them between then, and then 1 day a week you're connecting with them. Now, what happens on that day when you connect in with them is you probably have like an excitement about seeing them, but when you first connect in, there might be some kind of like weird energy or something that you've kind of got to overcome before you actually properly connect. It's exactly the same with your book. If you write just singly 1 day a week, you'll be excited about that day, it'll come, and then there'll be maybe some challenges getting into the writing, it'll be disheartening, and you'll lose your kind of enthusiasm and joy. And that day a week will be a day that you start to dread rather than a day that you feel passionate and excited about. So I advise you to write every single day, and even if it's just a little bit of a connecting, even if it's just 100 words, even if it's just an idea that you had or something, and literally get into the habit of writing everywhere and anywhere. Don't just kind of wait for a special moment or wait for when all the conditions are perfect and it's gone completely silent or you're in complete peace or any of those things. Literally get into the habit of pulling a notebook out on the subway or writing at the breakfast table, scribbling on a napkin at lunch break. Just kind of get into that habit. That's what really makes a writer, is somebody that's prepared to engage with the writing all the time rather than somebody that's just being very, very part-time about it. And even if you've only got whispers or minutes, then keeping that level of engagement is going to keep the momentum going, and it's going to mean that the relationship is not just kind of like hot and cold all the time, but the flow is going and the momentum is going. So another great strategy for keeping the momentum going is to know where you're starting next time before you finish. So say, for example, you're just going to write 100 words today and you go in and you write your 100 words. Work out the bit that you're drawn to for next time so you know exactly what you're going to be writing about next time. Now, the great thing about doing this is if you give yourself the opportunity, you'll get downloads, you'll pick up information, you'll have thoughts about what you're going to write about next time. If you just come in cold, then you'll spend maybe 10 minutes, half an hour trying to work out where you want to go next. And again, that's going to kill the momentum and kill the passion for what you're doing. So keep it very alive, keep it very current, and keep it very present. And this is the one bonus strategy for momentum that I absolutely couldn't leave out. And that bonus strategy is to write your best bits first. Now, a lot of people imagine that they have to just kind of like structure that book out and then start from the first page and work their way all the way through to the end. The reality is that if you do that, you're likely to kill your passion for your project. What you want to do is get as much of the book written as you can early on. And to do that, you want to keep writing the bits that fire you and the bits that inspire you. It's going to build your confidence as an author. It's going to be in a good order anyway, because if you've already structured it first, then you can jump about without worrying about how you can put it together at the ends. And the thing is, the more that momentum and confidence you build, then the more kind of excitement you're going to build around the project. Now, I learned this one the hard way. When I was writing the book Matrix Reimprinting using EFT, the first 3 chapters were very kind of heavy science based. There was a lot of science in them. And in those chapters, there was a lot of research from other scientists. Science isn't my big thing. Science isn't an area that I'm really, really strong in. And I tried to write those first 3 chapters first. And 9 months in, I was literally ready to give up. I was really kind of feeling that I wasn't going to be able to get that information together. I was really losing my confidence as an author. And I was really feeling like I'd bitten off more than I could chew. So what I did from there is I put those 3 chapters to one side and I went and wrote the rest of the book and wrote it really, really quickly. From chapter 4 onwards, it came together in a really, really quick time. When I knew then that I had all the book, other than this scientific research, all put together, you'd be amazed at how much more confidence I had for tackling the research. The book was already in place. I just had to get this research done and I just had to make it coherent. And it was much, much more easy because I'd built my confidence as a writer. A lot of this is about your confidence, and a lot of this is about building your confidence and building your confidence as a writer. If you can write a blog post, you can write a book. I really honestly believe that, and I say that to all of my clients, and I've seen it time and time again, where switching from thinking that you can write a blog post to thinking you can write a book can seem like a really, really big thing. Your book is just a number of different posts that you're actually putting together and structuring together in a coherent order. And writing your best bits first, literally go in and write these bits like you would write a blog post or a little piece of information that you might send out on a newsletter, and put it together like that, and the whole process will seem a lot less daunting and a lot more joyful. You literally want to be feeling joy when you write rather than feeling like you're in pain. And if you're in pain, what can you do to shift so that you can get into a different place when you're writing, so that you can feel more excitement and more passion about it, so you can feel more at ease about it. So what I'd like to do now, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes outlining the new program that I'm launching. And then after that, I'm going to tell you how you can get a free copy of my book. My book's out any day now. It's almost ready, literally in the final stages of release, and it's going to be released on Kindle as a digital copy. And I'm going to tell you how you can get a free copy of that after I've talked about the program. So some of you are already signed up, I know, to the program that starts on the 14th of January, which is next Tuesday. And what I'm going to be doing for you on that program is bringing to life my new book for you. So all the information is in that book about what you need to do to write a really effective self-help book. But I know for many of you, you really feel that you need that support and encouragement and to kind of bring that to life and get that feedback on your own writing as well. So if you're really serious about actually getting your book written and you know that you're someone that benefits from support, both the support of myself and also the group of other writers in there, then this program is going to be for you. And I'm going to show you literally on this program, if you can write a blog post, you can write a book. I'm going to really show you how you can do that. So it's 12 weeks of webinars where just like this one, but a little bit different in style, because you're literally going to be looking over my shoulder as I show you how to do it. I'm literally going to be typing on the screen, showing you different skills, showing you different techniques, and helping you to become more confident. It's going to be in workshop style as well. So I'm going to be hearing from some of you. You can send in bits that you've written and I'll critique it and analyze it and help you to become a more effective writer through the process. So you can literally start from scratch and have your book written in as little as 3 months. So that's going to be January, February, March, April. That's going to be that you could literally have your book written by the middle of April. If you're somebody that likes to take a little bit more time, the program's designed for that too. So there's no pressure to finish it in 3 months. But if you're somebody that really responds to that kind of motivation and knows that if you've got that set period and somebody there championing you and supporting you throughout that, then this program is really, really going to help you. So I'm going to help you to overcome the procrastination and build momentum in your writing as an integral part of that program. So in there, I'm actually going to be emailing you every single day for 90 days with tips and ideas and strategies. I'm literally going to be there with you. I'm also going to help you to get the tone and style right for your audience. Out of the people that I surveyed, 65% of you said, I'm not sure if I have the style or tone right for my particular audience. And I'm going to be helping you to work through and get that style right and that tone right. We're going to be doing tone and style workshops so that you know that you've nailed your genre and you know that your book is addressing the specific audience that you're working with. I'm also going to support you to build a platform so that when you come to market your book, you'll have strategies in place. Something like 80% of you said, I don't have a platform in place for marketing my book and wonder how to build my audience. There's going to be a big emphasis on this as part of the program. And we're not going to leave that till the end. We're going to be working on that and building on that throughout the program so that when you come to launch your book, then you've got a launch platform in place and that you're ready to share your book with an audience and that audience is in place for you. So a lot of kind of these programs just kind of help you to go through and write the book. But I'm really focusing with you as well on how to actually market it and how to get it out there. There is nothing more important or more disheartening, should I say, to an author than to write a book, to get to a point where they've written it, and then to not have anybody to actually buy it. And it is a really disheartening process when you've been through that whole thing and there's no platform in place. So the other thing that I'm going to help you do, if you decide that you're going to go down the publishing route, I'm going to give you a lot of insider information and secrets on the publishing industry, but also help you to make the right choice for you. This is absolutely crucial. So many people say that they want to go for the leading publisher in the industry. And if that's the right choice for you, then great. And if it's not the right choice for you, then we'll help you decide. And I'll personally help you decide what the best route is for this particular book. For some people, the best route is to actually self-publish it first to get some evidence of its saleability and then to go to a publisher afterwards. It's actually what we did with Matrix Reimprinting using EFT. It's how we ended up getting a Hay House contract because we sold 1,200 copies of the book independently first before Hay House even took us on. And we did that in a very short space of time. So those skills that were gained in that and the things that I learned about that, I'm going to be sharing with you as part of this program as well. So you're going to have all the support of a members only forum so that you can connect with each other, you can keep each other going, you can see that you're not just a lone face here on your own writing the book, and there's already a group of people already that are ready to support you on that are going through the same process and journey themselves. And as I said, I'll email you every day for 90 days throughout the process. I'm going to be there with you in your living room, reminding you. I'm going to be sending you videos. I'm going to be sending you tips. I'm going to be sending you all sorts of different things so that you can really get that momentum going. Now, I'm also going to give you a bonus. I did a program called Authentic Messenger, which is all about not just marketing your book, but also about building your website, about creating videos and enabling you to get your message out there. There's about 40 hours of pre-recorded material that I did with my co-host Brett Moran, who's a fabulous marketer, and I'm going to put that in there for free. Also, the last time I launched this program, I said that the first 10 people to sign up get a one-to-one with me. There are a few of these slots left, and the one-to-ones are valued at $250 an hour. There's a few of these slots left, and because I want to make it that if you want to decide to sign up tonight and you're wondering if you're going to get one of those free slots, what I'm going to say that is if more people sign up tonight than our free slots, then I'll create some more free slots for anybody that signs up tonight. So just so you know, if you did sign up tonight, then I'm going to honor those free slots, whether you grab one of those last few that are left or not. So I'm bringing this program to you for $595. That's literally the price of what Authentic Messenger was for. So you're getting both those programs for the price of one. And that $595 is going to cover the 12 webinars and all the support that I'm going to give you throughout the program to enable you to get this book out there and to really get your book published and to achieve that dream and to achieve that goal. So if that's something that you feel that you're interested in, if you want to join the group of people that are already on the program and that are already going to be starting next week, there are still some spaces left. And you can go to www.sashallenby.com/your-book-in-12-weeks. And if that's too much to remember or type in, I'm actually going to send it to you as an audience now. So you'll see in your chat box that I've just sent that as a link. So it should come through to you if you wanted to click on that and book on that there now. So that's the program. Any questions you've got about the program, I'll either take at the end or you can email me individually afterwards. I'd love to support you on the process and be there for the process. And I know how lonely it is writing a book on your own. I know how lonely it is when you're kind of going through that and you really kind of feel like you're just on your own doing it. And I've created this program because I don't want it to be like that for authors anymore. It shouldn't have to be like that. And this program is really going to support you to have that connection and support you really need, plus the know-how how to do it. So as I promised, I'm also going to be giving away some free copies of my book. I want to share with you how you can get hold of one of those free copies. Now, there's a phenomenal idea in marketing, and it's called the launch team. And what a launch team does is you have around about 100 people in your launch team. You give each of those people a copy of your book for free, and you ask them to do a review in exchange, but you also give them some other free gift as well, some other free incentive. Now, I've got a really phenomenal idea for Launch Team because I know that I'm not going to be the only person launching a book this year, particularly with all you guys that are on this program. So if you want to be on my launch team, then you'll get a free copy of the book. But I'm also going to teach you how to do Launch Team. I'm going to teach you how to do this particular process as we go along. There's going to be a free webinar in that, and I'm going to tell you all about that in the follow-up email. So if you feel that you want to be part of the launch team, which just literally means that you give an honest review of the book, you get a free copy for that, and you also get this free resource of Launch Team, which you'll then be able to use when you're launching your own book. And my vision for this is kind of quite broad. What I really envision is if we have a huge launch team, and then whenever somebody wants to launch a book, then we can send the same information out to the launch team. Then you can all be supporting each other to launch each other's books. And it's going to enable you to have a platform, even if you haven't already got a platform in place. So I'll send you some information out about that when I do the follow-up to this webinar, and you'll hear about some information about that over the next couple of days. So if you want to be on my launch team, see how the whole process is done, get a free copy of my book and review it for me. I'd love to have you on it. and I'd really love to show you how it's done and teach you that as a whole concept. So when you come to launch your book, you're not just kind of like there without any knowledge about how it's done. So on that note, we've got some time for questions. I want to see if anybody's got any questions for me. I'm just going to go to the written questions, and where's the questions gone? I will take those from here. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so beautiful, yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure if it's Jean or Jeannie says, do you mean that we should write a mock-up book on real paper or in a computer with chapter headings, book cover, etc.? Yeah, actually, what I meant was actually do it on the computer. So literally, you divide the chapter headings out on the computer, and each one you do a page break on the computer. Although I think the thing that might have been confusing is I would get a cover printed out and I would wrap it round an existing book that you've got, just so that it makes the project a little bit more real for you. So yeah, absolutely build it in your computer or on your computer as a book, but also get that cover printed out, wrap it around the book, put it on your shelf, or have that book cover up above your workspace so you remember what it is that you're working towards. And I think it's Jean or Jeannie, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Say a question again saying, do you write in Word or another program? Yeah, I just keep it in really simple, basic work. There is a program called StoryMill that some people really like to use. Now, StoryMill will enable you to structure your book really, really effectively. It's a piece of software that I think you can only get if you've got a Mac. And if you are going to purchase it, I wouldn't purchase it from the apps on your Mac. I would go directly to StoryMill and purchase it, because that's the more updated version of it. And as you go into it, it can help you to structure and put your book together, particularly if you're somebody that likes to have a really kind of solid structure in there right from the start. But personally, I don't find the need to do that, and I find it pretty easy to just do it in Word and just work through like a normal Word document. Although, like I said, I do alter my page sizes so that it actually looks like a book when I'm writing it. So right from the start, I know that I'm writing a book. Thanks for these questions. They're great. Hellos, lots of hellos still coming in. It's the best time. Okay, so Den says, is there a best time of year to launch a book? Now, I would say that any time of year is good. There are times of year when, for example, around the summer holidays, not particularly a time when people are thinking so much about self-help. Around the summer holidays, people are kind of thinking more about a fiction book to read, or just kind of sitting on the beach and letting it all hang out. So I wouldn't launch a self-help book in the kind of July or August period. Obviously, this time of year is a good time of year. Just before Christmas is a good time of year. A lot of people spend their Amazon vouchers and get Amazon vouchers over Christmas, or get gifts for Christmas. So those are good times of year to write and launch a book. But I would say that any time of year, as long as you've got a strategy in place, then that, as I've been talking about, as long as you've got a marketing strategy in place, you can launch it literally any time of year. Oh, I see. I understand who it is now. Jeannie from San Diego. Jeannie. Yeah, I know exactly who you are. We had dinner together. Sorry, sweetie. I didn't realize it was you. Hello, darling. Wonderful. Okay, any more questions for me? Any questions about the process? Any questions about the program? Any other questions? And I don't see any other questions. Oh, yeah, I've got another one. Okay, how difficult is it to be published by a leading publisher? And that's Linda. That's a really good question, Linda. Now, the thing is, it depends. If you're writing a niche book and your book is specifically for a small market, then it can be more challenging, or much more challenging, to get a publishing contract with a larger publisher. And also, it depends if what you're writing is pretty unique. If you bring a really unique slant to something, if you bring a really unique take to something, then that's obviously going to really impact on whether you get a deal with a main publisher. But in all honesty, one of the biggest things that publishers are looking for these days is your platform. And by your platform, I mean how many people you've got on your list, or how many people that you've got on your Facebook group. And that's going to go a big way towards you getting a publishing deal. Those people that have got a really big platform, and that's why I suggest you build the platform as you go along, have got a much better chance, because the old kind of school of thinking that a publisher was going to do it all for you has literally gone out of the window these days. And a publisher is going to want to know much more about what you're going to bring to them or do for them than they are going to want to know about what they are going to give to you. So you can much more easily get a publishing deal if you've got a really big platform in place, if it's a book that's suitable and marketable for a mass audience, and that you've really kind of defined who that audience is and wrote it clearly to that audience, then it's much easier to get a publishing deal than if you just go in. One of the things I'd advise you to do, Linda, go on to the particular publisher that you've got in mind, go and have a look at their submission guidelines and see what it is specifically that they're looking for. And then you can shape the book around what it is they're looking for. And that can also really, really help. So thinking about who's going to publish it before you even start writing it and what kind of books they're looking for can really help you to kind of get on that vein. And also, as I said earlier, making it more self-help and less of a concept book can really up your chances of getting a publishing deal as well. Okay, so Teresa, as a writer, I have lots of ideas for books. How do I bring my focus down onto just one book at a time? Do you know what I would advise you to do if I was coaching you? I would advise you to work out the idea that you're singly most passionate about. Now, what a lot of people tend to do is they tend to kind of go with the idea that they think is the most marketable or that they think people want the most, but their heart or their flame or the desire isn't in it. Amongst those ideas that you've got, Teresa, and it may be something that you need to meditate on, but amongst those ideas, there'll be one idea that absolutely sets your heart on fire. There'll be one idea that when you go into it, you just literally know that it's the one. And it may take a time to really kind of work out what that one is. But what you need to do is get all the duty and the thoughts around what you should write about and just really go in for the thing that really fills you with joy, and to start from there and build your book idea out of your passion rather than out of a concept or idea that you think other people are looking for. Right, okay. Another question here from Amy. Hello, Amy. Could you expand on the idea of not writing a concept book? Is this what Louise Hay did with You Can Heal Your Life, which, by the way, was also originally self-published, I believe? Yes. You Can Heal Your Life. It's a concept book, but it's got a lot of different. If you look at the end of each different chapter, thinking back to that book, I believe it's got a lot of different steps or things that people do to put those things into practice. And that's what I mean by a how-to book. So it might be resting on a very strong concept. Like for example, some of the books that Esther and Jerry Hicks have written on the law of attraction, they're resting on a very strong concept of the law of attraction, but there's a number of different exercises on how to actually apply them. If they'd just written about the law of attraction, it would be more a book like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which gives you lots of different kind of concepts on the law of attraction, but doesn't give you necessarily the steps that you need to do to take it into and apply it into your life. So that would be the difference between a concept book and a book that is more how-to orientated. How-to is basically steps, tools, ideas, processes, techniques, things that make it applicable and bring it to life. Linda says, thank you too, Linda. And I think that is all our questions. I've really, really enjoyed you guys tonight. It's been absolutely awesome. I'd love to see you on the program. Hope you can join me on the program. We're literally starting this time next week. And even if you're not joining me on the program, I'd love you to be part of my launch team. And so I'm going to be sending some more information out about that in the follow-up in the next couple of days as well. Thank you so much for taking this time and joining me from all corners of the world. You've been absolutely fabulous. I've loved your questions. Any further questions, please email me as the follow-up to the email, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I very much look forward to you getting your book in print in 2014 and looking forward to that momentum coming into your writing and you getting it written and finished and published. Have an amazing, amazing day. Have a great start to the year. Get flowing with your book, and I'll catch you soon. Lots of love and goodbye for now.